Thank you for listening to Interview with DJ Nocturna. I'm speaking with David Mosey, primary songwriter and lead vocalist for the New York-based indie rock band London Plane. Thank you, David. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yes. And if people are listening out there, please like, subscribe, and share if you're listening and watching on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Well, David is like the primary songwriter. Is that right, for the band?
I write all the songs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Good lyrics, actually. And I know you are originally, well, I don't know if it's originally, but I know you're based in New York right now. Is it Brooklyn?
I just moved to Queens, actually. I spent 10 years in Brooklyn.
Okay. Are you originally from New York?
No, I moved to New York in 2004 from Portland, Oregon, where I was born and raised.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. So you've been there for a while then?
Yeah, if I'm not a New Yorker, I'm a man without a home.
Okay. Yeah. So I know you have a new album out that's going to be coming out next month, and I think it's perfect right now. Hopefully we'll get this aired before the album comes out. And you have your first debut album.
Mm-hmm.
It was called New York Howl.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought the tracks there were all good as well. But
have you heard? Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I heard it. Yep, it's great. But you know what I really found interesting was how I guess that album was influenced by a story. And I know you know what I'm talking about. It's a suitcase that was, I don't know if you found it or somebody found it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, it was you. Oh, okay. Yeah. It was, yeah. Can you tell us about that? I think that's such an interesting story. I mean, I'm always, it gets me when I hear these kind of things, because I didn't know that they dumped that in the sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah. So, on a certain night of the week, it's, in my neighborhood now, it's Mondays because Tuesday morning is trash morning. So if you walk around Queens, the northern part of Queens on a Monday night, you're bound to find all sorts of things. And I was not looking for anything, and I was on the Lower East Side. And I saw a suitcase that looked like it was in reasonably good shape, but it also looked very old. And normally I don't touch discarded items, but something moved me to peek into the contents inside. I opened the suitcase and there was a bunch of, I don't know, papers and that. But there was also a leather-bound diary.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't help myself, and I was with a friend and we started reading through it. And it was clear that it was a diary written by a young woman. There were dates on every entry, or most of them. And the dates were from the late 70s and early 80s. It was a 2 or 3 or 4 year period of time. I don't remember. And it was a young woman from Portland, which also piqued my interest. I'm also from Portland, as I mentioned. And she was reflecting, this young woman who was keeping her diary was reflecting on the trials and tribulations and the wins and mostly the losses of moving to New York without any money. Something else that I'm very familiar with. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it leads to many adventures. And it was funny to me that we experienced many of the same kind of things. And I wasn't writing songs at the time. I was in graduate school and kind of taking a break, but it occurred to me that this might be good fodder, for lack of a better word, for putting some lyrics down and kind of using using Frances's story to see if some songs couldn't emerge from it. I felt inspired by it, and it was obviously not for public consumption. Most diaries aren't. But this one spoke to me enough that I thought I would, do it some justice.
So do you still have the diary?
No. So after the album was written, we, the band and I, some members of the band and I, went to Central Park, and we had a bit of a funeral. We took a shovel and we buried the diary.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think of like the bread song, uh, I found a diary. No, it's yeah, that's yeah. And then Aubrey,
Mm,
I
yeah,
just sometimes I wonder about these diaries when you find them and you kind of like, especially when it relates to somebody who might have been homeless and I see them everywhere and you kind of wonder like where they've been. I mean, we see them here in Hawaii quite a bit,
mm,
and sometimes they're wearing like thick coats and they came from New York or somewhere like that.
right.
I think they put him on a plane and
Detroit. Yeah.
yeah, they sent him to Honolulu, to Hawaii because it's
Yeah.
tropical and it's not cold here and they can survive here, and especially in the winter. So yeah, it just touched me when I read this, and I'm like, okay. So and then I looked at your website, which is londonplaymusic.com, and then it talks a little bit about that. Who is Cece?
Cece and Jessica are the same person.
Oh, okay, okay. 'Cause okay.
Jessica sang
No,
most of the song, or all of the songs on the first album.
oh, okay.
But as you heard, have you heard Bright Black in
Yes.
full? Yeah,
Hmm.
it takes a very different turn. It really doesn't have too much in common with New York Howl, and so it's so much so that Jessica even changed her name because it didn't.
Oh,
Cece was the right singer for New York Howl, but Jessica and I were the
I
right
see.
singers for
Okay.
Bright Black.
Well, I thought about St. Francis of Assisi, St. Francis of Assisi.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and that's good.
I put that
No,
together because St. Francis of Assisi was like
yeah,
I think it's the patron saint of animals and
yeah, and nature generally. Yeah, yeah,
helpless causes or something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
No, I like that.
wow.
I didn't make that connection, but I grew up Catholic. And
Yeah, me too.
okay. And we have the lead single Francesco is about a
That's
Catholic.
what I was going to ask you next. That's a great dance beat, I have to say. I mean, I was just listening to it right now, and I like the Italian version as well.
Hmm.
So, why did you guys
Italian-esque. I think
Yeah.
Italians in the
Oh,
audience might argue that it's Italian.
so, well, what is the different? Well, how is it different? Why did you guys decided to do the Italian version?
Uh, well, knowing that outside of New York, very few people know who Padre Pio is, and so I thought, kind of in the tradition of Bowie, covering heroes in German, I thought it might be fun to get a quick translation and try Francesco, which is written about Padre Pio, but it's really written about Padre Pio before he was Padre Pio, when he was this young man named Francesco, who was allegedly, if you believe in these things, experiencing, well, I think he was experiencing the stigmata, but not only that, he was said to levitate and bilocate and perform miracles. And I thought, well, Francesco as a young man, Padre Pio as a young man, I'll bet it wasn't so easy for him to get a date. I'll bet he had a bit of trouble in high school if these things were going on, So we took the story and yeah, we made a little dance party for Francesco.
Wow. So that diary, I know it dates back from 1975 to 1982, right? So that person, was this like, she, or how did you know it was a girl? Is it says in the diary?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear. I don't know, just
Oh, okay, okay,
through context. Yeah.
okay, okay. And so the person that I know that she stopped writing her diary in 1982, right?
Right. Yeah. It just kind of ended abruptly,
Oh,
the diary entries.
that is a really interesting story. I mean, I think I like that a lot. Just that whole thing. It's just interesting, because I often wonder about people and where they've been and where they came from. So that's
Yeah, there was so much to mine from that. And, I wrote 10 songs, I think. I don't even remember how many songs are on that album. I think it's 10 or 11. And there was more than enough fodder, and there were her ups and downs were all it was all very clear. And of course, again, it wasn't meant to be broadcast, but I kept, I think I kept privacy where it was due.
Oh yeah, that's good. So the band, can you tell us how you formed? I know you got 6 members.
Yeah, well, we formed because I had this idea, this kind of theatrical idea to put an album together based on the diary that we've been talking about. And it was really only meant to be that, just the one album, me not singing, Jessica or Cece singing. And I recruited some friends that I knew from the early 2000s, from the Williamsburg kind of centric Bushwick music scene, to come and help me kind of flesh out the songs. And I met a couple of, very importantly, a couple of new musicians who I hadn't, who I'd never performed with prior to this. And they're classically trained and extremely talented and extremely well-versed in their instrument. That's Bryan Garbe and Grant Parker. They're the drummer and the bass player. So I figure, if you're going to start a band and try to do a really specific project like this, you better have a good battery, so they were into it. And so, we put these songs together, but I was writing the songs, I was writing them on acoustic guitar. We realized that we meshed together pretty well. So after New York Howl came out, we started writing together, as opposed to me alone, based on this very specific kind of theme, this concept. Instead, we started getting together and seeing what came out from your usual kind of jam, I guess, for lack of a better word. And that's how Bright Black came about.
So you and Jessica were like the first 2 members. You formed it together. And how did you guys meet up? And
I met her right after Lou Reed died. My friend Joe McGinty from who was in the Psychedelic Furs and still kind of plays with Psychedelic Furs. He has a tribute show that he does almost monthly, I think, called Losers Lounge. And Losers Lounge did a tribute to Lou Reed following his death. And Joe asked me to sing a song, and I saw Jessica was singing as well. And I liked her voice. It reminded me a bit of Ronnie Spector. And I thought, well, that's the voice that I want.
That's a great voice.
I agree. I think it's the best voice. I think Ronnie Spector had the best voice in rock and roll. So that's the voice that I want to represent Frances, the Frances from the diary.
Oh, wow. A lot of intricacy in the music, huh? A lot of deep thoughts and things. I can see that.
There are a lot of, kind of a lot of moving parts. It's not songwriting by way of feeling, you know what I mean? Like, I don't sit down and think, oh, well, how am I feeling about this? I'm going to write a song. It's like, there's nothing inward looking about London Playing. Everything is meant for the audience. It all has a story. It all has kind of, this theater.
So as a primary songwriter, what is it that influenced you to compose a song? I mean, do you write it at a certain time of the day? Do you come up with the lyrics in your head and you write it down?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So with Bright Black, with the new album, it certainly changed. So because I had recruited this talented group of artists, what we did was we would get together and I would play literally 3 seconds of a song, the spirit of which I wanted to translate over to a future London Playing song. So I would play 3 seconds of, a Bauhaus song, or an Iggy Pop song, or a Sibelius song, or a Kate Bush song, but just enough, just 3, 4, 5 seconds, enough to like where the spirit was able to be translated. Not that we intended to cover it or rebuild it or remake it somehow. Once the spirit got across, we'd turn it off 3 or 4 seconds later, and then we would start in, usually with drums and bass. And then I would put lyrics together on the spot. And if the song didn't work, if it didn't make sense to us, and if it didn't feel dangerous and cool and spirited,
Mhm.
in 5 minutes, we'd ditch it and we'd start again. So the intention was, it was really to try to capture lightning when it happened. And Francesco came about that way. All the songs came about that way. If we had to do any work, if it took fleshing out and polishing and pounding away on it until we could carve out a song, we ditched it. And I don't know. I heard that Mark Bolan from T-Rex, if a song didn't work within 5 minutes of him, starting it, he would ditch it. That makes a lot of sense to me.
And the songs all work, from what I can see. From what I can.
Thanks.
Well,
I think so.
Well, there's only like I don't know what the others sound like, because I think I only heard like 5.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're not released yet, right?
Yeah,
Right.
but we can send you the full album.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know the album's gonna be released on June 17th,
Yeah.
and it's called Bright Black. I like that title. I kind of think about the title Bright Black. So it looks like when you say black, it's just black. But when you say bright black, it's kind of gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Is that what what you guys were intending?
Yeah, that's exactly right. When we were writing the album, the band experienced quite a few tragedies, including the deaths of family members. And so Bright Black, the lyric, came about when I was saying quite casually that I hope that when you die, if everything goes black, I hope that at least it's bright black.
Wow. It's a beautiful title. Yeah. Yeah. So I see there's a lot of good songs here, and then of course the Francesco dance versions, which I think is really good on the dance floor. And I wrote it down on my list to play on the floor.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down because I forget. There's so much music I get all the time, and so I have to write them down for either if they're danceable, and if I like to play them. And I think it sounds really great. And this album, which I think is I looking forward to, the latest one that came out was "Come Out of the Dark."
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna release another song or before the actual release?
Yeah, I think we're going to release another single. So as you pointed out, the album comes out June 17th, and I think there's going to be one more single. It's really up to the label, but I have my favorites.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite?
Well, there's one called Homocosmicus, which I really like.
I see that.
It's a weird one. Which is of course why I like it, but it's based on right before the pandemic. I went to the Guggenheim and saw Hilma of Klint, who all of her or most of her paintings were being shown there, and she was a visionary, and she was somewhere caught between astrophysicist and I guess religious guru, or like the faithful. And so she was doing these paintings that showed the merging of soul and technology before technology was really even a thing. She was able to foresee that we would start to become our mechanics, our developments, our technology, and then eventually our soul would merge with technology. And anyway, so there's a Russian Russian scientist who actually gave that a name, and he called it Homocosmicus.
Oh, you sound like you're a spiritual person.
I at least think a lot about it.
Yeah, I don't mean like in the religious sense. I mean more like like maybe you believe in soulmates and things like that.
I believe that our 5 puny little senses probably don't quite wrap it up. There's probably more out there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to do a big shout out to Shauna of Shameless Promotion PR as well. Always so great. Yeah. And your website, londonplaymusic.com. How would you, some people might ask, how would you describe your music in terms of genre? I know a lot of people don't like to put genres of music, but
Mm. No, that's okay. Typically, I would agree with you, but this album, because I was writing songs that were reflecting my frustration with the world, and here we are sitting on a day where a bunch of kids were killed in their elementary school in Texas.
Yeah, I know.
This is, this makes me want to go deaf and blind, so I don't have to know about it. And so how to deal with such a thing? Well, there's no way to cathartically, dispel the trauma, and even like as an observer. But the songs are full of commentary about the failings of the government and the last administration, and my observations of the city of New York. That said, it's not that challenging. It's all put to a dance beat, isn't it? So, what was the question? I feel like I've gone off the rails a bit.
Like, how would you put your
Oh, right. So, like a post-punk kind of, gothy thing for the new album really made sense. If I was going to be tackling such subject matter, I felt like I had to kind of pick a genre, and this one made sense.
Yeah, and you like Peter Murphy. Yeah, influenced a little bit by Peter.
Yeah, well, the first concert I ever went to was Peter Murphy, and I kind of thought that's how every singer should sing, and I was extremely.
Yeah, so I'm wearing this shirt just for you, I guess.
It's really I noticed first thing.
Well, I try to wear a shirt that's somehow connected to a band, if I could find something.
Well, I almost wore a Hawaiian shirt. I'm really glad I didn't.
Oh, that's totally fine. I would be happy if you did.
Their song Dare, or is it called Double Dare?
Bauhaus, Double Dare.
The very first song of the first album.
Yeah.
That's kind of the song that I think informs the album as a whole, or it informs the mission, I should say. I thought, well, I'm gonna start writing songs like that.
It's great. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. So, is there anything coming up in the future? I know you're going to release this album. Anything down the road? Are you going to make it into vinyl, or just are you thinking about that?
I keep getting asked that. I really hope so. I think that would be cool. And I don't know about you, but I really only listen to vinyl myself. So if it doesn't come out on vinyl, I may never hear the album again.
No, me too. I love vinyl. I mean, it's I try to stay away from CDs.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes you can't, because it's only available on CDs, but I have so many CDs and they're just bulky, but vinyls are a little different and they're more, I don't know. I mean, they're
precious.
Yeah, you can keep them. And I mean, I have albums from the 60s, they're still pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it's one of those technologies that nobody has been able to top. It's still the best.
And back in the 60s, the vinyl was actually thin. Now they have thick vinyl.
Yeah.
So they'll probably last way longer,
Yeah, forever. If you can, they'll outlast us, I hope. And now vinyl is back in, which is cool. So, we can't really it's hard to get albums from the 90s because they were never released on vinyl. But everything now is coming out on vinyl, which is brilliant. So
who does your covers on your cover of your?
So the image. I guess I did it partially, but I was kind of the minority designer. Yoshi Sorioka is the name of the artist who produced the images for the cover of the album and the cover of all of the singles.
Oh,
He's a New York artist. I actually saw him. I discovered him reading the New York Times, and there was an article about like Bitcoin or something, and but it had a really cool image, and I was wondering how that image was put together and who did it. And so I just reached out to him and asked him if he would listen to the music, and if you liked the music, if he would agree to do a cover for us. And he pretty much immediately said he did like it, and he would put the covers together.
wow. And so your record label, let me see what your record label is called. Declared
Declared
Good.
Goods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Local Brooklyn label, headed up by Greg Vegas is his name.
and then some of your photos I know was taken by Alice. People,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know Alice?
No, but I've seen some of her work and I think
Yeah.
they're amazing. Yeah, she's a great photographer.
She's a good writer too. She writes for post-punk.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, so great. Yeah, it looks like you got everything going here. I mean, congratulations. I think I think you guys are gonna do really well.
Oh,
I can't wait
thanks.
for the next album. I can't wait for this one. And then the next one, I'm sure is all gonna be yeah, I'll be looking out for it. But thank you so much.
I hope we have a chance to make another one. That's the aim here. And I would love to play in Hawaii one day.
Oh yeah, everybody wants to come here. Well, you got to wear that Hawaiian shirt.
I have several. I will do.
I'm just joking. You don't have to wear the Hawaiian shirt. No, I'm just, yeah, it's just, I have a friend that only buys Hawaiian shirts.
I can goth out a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
they make them in black too, you know.
They make
I-
well, that's the one I was about to wear tonight.
Yeah, oh,
It
you
was
have a black one?
It's a black one. Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where'd
I
you
mean,
get it?
I think I got it in Honolulu actually.
Oh, so you've been here before.
Yeah, I've been a few times.
Oh, okay. Which part?
Well, in Honolulu proper, and I've been to Kauai, but I've been to Honolulu a few times, and enough that I kind of got to know town a bit, and I got to decide on which neighborhoods I kind of preferred and like to hang out in.
Yeah. Which
And,
neighborhood?
Well, I always ended up getting Airbnbs by the zoo.
Oh, okay. That's a
kind of
good
in that neighborhood, kind of behind the zoo, because it's not
Diamond
very
Head.
touristy. Yeah,
Diamond Head,
and
yeah.
like
Mhm.
close to the beach, away from away from Waikiki ish, but also accessible to Waikiki if I needed it, which I didn't.
You know, I actually go there in the morning.
Yeah,
You can go down these steps. It's by the lighthouse. It's called
Yeah.
Diamond Head
Yeah.
Road, and then
Yeah.
you go down the steps, and there's a lot of surfers there. So I can see why you like that. It's a really great neighborhood.
good coffee there too. That's the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Oh, coffee. Yeah, we have. You tried our macadamia nut coffee and stuff like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I always tell everybody I talk to, I'm here in Hawaii. If you're ever in town or,
Cool.
you're down the road.
Well, it would be brilliant. I'd love to. Well, the goal is to keep playing, but all we want to do is keep writing and and keep performing. This isn't about making a bunch of money or getting famous or anything. It's just we're making art, aren't we? So
Yep. Well, I'm looking forward to the album. It's called Bright Black by London Plane. And just to mention, can you just mention all your members of your group? Just for-
sure. Yeah.
shout out to them.
Yeah. Jessica Cole is the other vocalist. Kristofer Widholm is the lead guitarist, wrote all his guitar parts. Julian Tulip wrote quite a few of the keyboard parts along with myself and the producer, Mackenzie Stubbert. Grant Parker is the bass player. Bryan Garbe is the drummer. Is that
Yeah.
6? Did I forget somebody? And then there's me.
I think you got them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
David Mosey. I'm speaking with him, the band London Plane, and I'm really glad I spoke to you, and thank you for this interview. I'm really now I know a little bit more about everything now that I've been wondering who Francesco was.
Yeah. Well,
Uh-huh.
listen, I'll have Shauna send you the full album.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. I'll be sure to play the Francesco when I play the interview, when I air it, for sure.
Cool.
I have played it before. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm looking forward to when the whole release comes out. I know there's a bunch of great songs. I want to hear what The Wish is about. And
Oh, that's a different one. Yeah.
but if somebody want to check you out, I mean, there's londonplanemusic.com, and then there's londonplane.bandcamp.com. And anything else I'm missing here?
No, I think that's right. I think if you Google London Plane music, that would come up. If you Google London Plane, you're likely to get the tree, which is on purpose. I mean, the band is named after the common New York City street tree.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of lanky and pale, tongue firmly in cheek, like me. But it's also synthetic. It doesn't exist in nature, the London plane tree, and it takes a beating because which makes it a good city tree. So you can light it on fire. You can crash a car into it. You can deprive it of nutrients, and it's still going to survive. I thought all of that was pretty apropos.
Well, gosh, thank you so much for this interview. I had a really good time.
Good hanging out. Thank you.
And if you're listening and watching, please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you like this interview. Again, David Mosey of London Plane. All right. 1 second. Let me just turn this off. Thank you.